It is Saturday, the 11th of January, 2025. My name is Pigeon Rose, and this is my song of the day. We're talking about Bon Iver again. It's been a bit. This time we're talking about my favorite Bon Iver song and objectively one of the most beautiful songs ever written. I don't make the rules, I'm sorry. This song is called Holocene. It's from the self-titled album Bon Iver from 2011. It's the third track on there. And it's so good. Now, it is Bon Iver, so I don't know how granular I'll be able to get with the lyrics, but I do want to talk about the music and the vibe and the kind of theme of the song, even if I won't be able to understand necessarily specific lines. And also I want to talk about the music video because the music video is great. I very much recommend watching the music video if you have the chance. But without any further ado, let's go listen to it now and then come back in a few minutes and talk about it. And that was Holocene by Bon Iver. What a lovely song. Such a beautiful song. It's got such nice instrumentation to it. Like, it's got real subtle saxophone in it. You might not notice right away, you know. It's got clarinet. It's got French horn. Like, love that shit. And, you know, Justin Vernon's signature soft falsetto that harmonizes with itself, you know. It's so good. Before I get into reading the lyrics and talking about the theme of the song and everything, I'm going to read the origin of this song as described by Justin Vernon. He says, "It was Christmas night and my brother and I watched Inglourious Bastards of all films." You know, it's not like it was a subject matter that was, you know, gonna birth a song like that exactly, but it was, I like watching Tarantino's films because they're so complete. They're just complete creative ideas executed at such a high level, you know. And we had a little smoky smoke and took a walk down our road, and it was so quiet, and it was like a really icy night. You know, it's already quiet because there's not a lot of people traveling. It was really kind of spooky night. The air's just hanging, and we went and walked over to this bridge over I-94. There just wasn't a single car. There was nothing for miles and miles, and the air was hanging in such a way with the ice storm kind of going on, and it looked like this sheet of ice on the road and this glow of the distant lights of Eau Claire, and it really just came out like at once. I knew I was not magnificent, you know, and the highway aisles of ice and all that, and it was one of those moments where you're not really sure if you're the creator of something or not, or if you've just been handed something to share. It's easy to stay humble sometimes when, you know, it's like I've worked hard and everything, but sometimes you just feel like you really are a conduit for describing an idea or something like that. That's really where all that came from the different verses are really about Eau Claire and about my people from there. And there's a little extra thing he said here as well. There's a lot of humble people around. Growing up in Wisconsin, I never felt like anybody was really trying to prove too much. The winter slows us down enough that, you know, we're not Hollywood. We don't seem to think achievement is the biggest thing. It's family and togetherness and having a beer at the joint or whatever. It's more like that, and I've always resonated with it, and it's another one of the reasons I can't seem to leave. So this song, as so many are so many of the songs that I talk about, is about kind of realizing your place in the universe. You know, you realize you're not magnificent. You realize there's so many things here that are beautiful, but also like even the man-made things. Like he had this idea of walking down cold, abandoned Eau Claire, and you know, it just had this moment. And I think everyone's had that moment where they're walking late at night, they look up at the stars, and they just feel every inch of the planet around them and all the stars above them. You know what I mean? The title, by the way, Holocene, is the current geological epoch, which began approximately 11,700 years ago. So you're welcome for that. It's a good word. I remember someone saying it was a really ugly word, but I like it. Maybe it's just because I like the song, though, to be fair. Anyway, let's start going through the lyrics with all of that in mind. "Some way, baby, it's part of me, apart from me. You're laying waste to Halloween. You fucked it, friend, it's on its head, it struck the street. You're in Milwaukee, off your feet. And at once I knew I was not magnificent. Straight above the highway aisle, jagged vacants thick with ice, I could see for miles, miles, miles." So the first little bit here, Justin Vernon apparently said in an interview that in Milwaukee, everyone would get blacked out beer drunk for Halloween trying to forget being a kid. And so this first verse is talking about that. You know, you're laying waste to Halloween, you fucked it, friend, it's on its head, it struck the street, you're in Milwaukee, off your feet. It's about people being drunk in Milwaukee, right? And at once I knew I was not magnificent. So this universal realization, like I said, straight above the highway aisle. So like he said, he was walking along the I-94, jagged vacants thick with ice. It's a really interesting phrasing because vacants means emptiness, right? If something is vacant, it's empty. And jagged means jagged, it means spiky. And you would certainly associate jagged with ice, like an icicle or something like that. But jagged vacance is really interesting to me. It's empty, but it's pointed. And it's a very winter phrase, which makes sense to me, you know? And then I could see for miles, miles, miles. That line, I could see for miles, 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 is one of those lines that stuck with me for so long, and I've wanted to like reference it in my own works, and it never works naturally because it works perfectly here, and that's where it belongs, you know? Anyway, just that I could see for miles, miles, miles line sums up the whole thing, you know? I was not magnificent, I could see for miles, miles, miles. He can see everything around him. He suddenly has this universal awareness, you know? And the fact that it's miles, miles, miles kind of underlines it as well. It's a really interesting thing of just repeating it shows how far he can see. Third and Lake, it burnt away the hallway, was where we learned to celebrate. Automatic bought the years you'd talk for me. That night you played me lip parade. Not the needle nor the thread, the lost decree, saying nothing that's enough for me. And once I knew I was not magnificent. Hold far from the highway aisle, jagged vacance, thick with ice. I could see from miles, miles, miles. So, Third and Lake sounds like a street corner, potentially. Probably a street corner in Eau Claire, because that's where he's from. Was where we learned to celebrate. So, you know. Oh, okay, interesting. Sorry, I'm just reading Genius as I go here. Apparently there was a house on Third and Lake in Eau Claire where he learned to drink. So that's that whole Third and Lake, it burnt away because it burnt down. I learned to drink there. Was where we learned to celebrate, right? Automatic bought the years you talk for me. That night you played me lip parade. So there's this other Eau Claire musician called Josh Scott who Justin Vernon knew, and he had a song called Lip Parade. So he's talking about this guy showing him a song that he wrote. Not the needle nor the thread, the lost decree, saying nothing that's enough for me. Saying nothing that's enough for me is a great line as well. But yeah, not the needle nor the thread. When he says not the needle, I think of like a record needle, but then he says nor the thread. So a needle and thread, the lost decree, saying nothing that's enough for me. It sounds like this verse is him saying that it's like he's talking about being with friends, he's talking about absorbing music, you know, and sitting there and saying nothing. And so it's kind of contrasting with the first verse. Even though he's talking about getting drunk, he's also talking about listening to music with this guy. And once I knew I was not magnificent, right? It's again this whole like universal understanding thing. And the line that changes in the chorus is hold far from the highway aisle, which presumably means like back in the house, like protected from the cold, right? And then the last bit here, Christmas night, it clutched the light, the halo bright, above my brother eye and tangled spines. We smoked the screen to make it what it was to be, now to know it in my memory. And once I knew I was not magnificent. High above the highway aisle, jagged vacance, thick with ice, I could see for miles, miles, miles. So he references in that quote I said at the start that it was Christmas night that this idea came to him. It clutched the light, the halo bright, above my brother eye and tangled spines. So this is like, again, one of those things where I don't know what he's saying in those words, but I get what he's talking about. We smoked the screen to make it what it was to be. They smoked, he said. They had a smoky smoke. Now to know it in my memory. So it sounds like here he's talking about like capturing this moment in the song. You know, he knows it in his memory. And once I knew I was not magnificent, high above the highway aisle. So instead of being straight above the highway, it's high above the highway aisle. And I don't think that's just referring to smoking, although wouldn't shock me. But like when you have this, like it's a transcendent feeling, right? So it's like they're above the highway aisle now. And then it ends with the I could see for miles, miles, miles. I love this song so much. Such a pretty song, such a beautiful song. And the music video as well, it was filmed in Vik in Iceland, and it's like this little Icelandic boy walking around the glaciers and the like volcanic mountains and stuff, and it's just a really pretty video, and there's a lot of contrasting tiny little him with a massive landscape, you know. It plays into the themes of the song very well. There's also like little moments of magic, like he throws something in the air and a bird appears, or at the end the rocks all kind of shift around him. Lovely video, recommend it very much so. It kind of ties into the feeling of the song, you know. I don't think I have much else to say. Just such a wonderful song, one of my favorite songs of all time, and I'm glad to share it with you because I had to fucking talk about it before the end of this show. Yeah, so there you go. Thank you so much for listening. Please hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment down below, tell me what you think, tell other people about this show. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Break it down.
It really just came out like at once. I knew I was not magnificent, you know? And the... oh, God.